Psalm 27 will change your life. Start your day with this powerful message. Before the world awakens, before the noise rushes in, there is a still, sacred moment, and in that silence your life is waiting to be rewritten. Psalm 27 is not just ancient poetry. It is a living code, a mystical blueprint written to remind you of who you truly are. It speaks not to your outer circumstances, but to your inner power. It whispers to that divine spark within you that knows no fear, no lack, no limitation. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? This isn't about something outside of you. This is about your consciousness, your awareness of being. The light it speaks of, that's your imagination. The salvation, that's the shift from fear to faith, from doubt to knowing, from waiting to living as if it is already done. If you start your day with this truth, if you feel it, not just read it, the world will bow to the power moving within you. You will not chase peace, you will carry it. You will not beg for answers, you will become the answer. Psalm 27 is your reminder. You are not waiting on a miracle, you are the miracle in motion. Let today be the day you stop reacting and start creating. Let this psalm awaken you to your divine identity. You've been in the shadows long enough. It's time to rise into the light that has always been yours. You are the secret place David speaks of when David declared, "The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear?" He was not speaking to an external deity up in the clouds. He was speaking from a deep inner knowing. He was addressing the divine presence that resides within each of us, the creative power of awareness, the living God that expresses itself as your consciousness. This verse isn't just comfort for the anxious or a chant in times of trouble. It is a key, a code, a doorway to the realm of the unseen where all true power begins. The Lord David speaks of is not something separate from you. It is the I am, at the center of your being, the awareness that you exist, the consciousness that says, "Here I am." The more you awaken to this truth, the more you realize that you are the very secret place David took refuge in. The hidden place of safety is not a temple, nor a mountain, nor a room behind locked doors. It is your mind, it is your spirit. It is your ability to turn inward and know that all things spring from the invisible. You see, most people are taught to look outside for help, to wait for signs, for rescues, for a miracle to descend from above. But the moment you awaken to the divine truth of who you are, you shift from begging to becoming. You stop asking, "When will things change?" and start realizing, "Things change the moment I do." Psalm 27 begins with boldness. The Lord is my light. Light here symbolizes awareness, and awareness is the only light that truly exists. Your world is a reflection of your state of consciousness, nothing more, nothing less. What you feel, assume, and accept as true within becomes the world you walk in. Fear arises when you forget this. When you look at circumstances and believe they have authority over you, you step into the shadow. But when you realize that the cause of everything lies within in your assumptions, your feelings, your inner conversations, then suddenly fear has no more ground to stand on. Let's go deeper. When David says, "Whom shall I fear?" it's not just rhetoric. It's a challenge, a spiritual dare. Because once you truly accept that the light is within you, that salvation is not coming from somewhere else but rising up from your own being, what could possibly threaten you? External enemies, bank accounts, betrayal, illness, no, these are all shadows cast by the inner state, and shadows cannot touch the one who lives in the light of awareness. Fear is a sign that you've forgotten who you are. It means you've started to believe more in the world of effects than in the world of cause. The world of effects, jobs, news, relationships, conditions is just a mirror. You do not fix the reflection by wiping the mirror. You change the image by changing yourself. You are the source, the kingdom is within you, and that is the secret place David knew. What's powerful about Psalm 27 is not just the poetic language or the comforting words, it's the underlying mystical truth. David didn't write this while everything was perfect. He wrote it in the face of danger, in the presence of conflict, while enemies were real and pressing. But rather than react with panic, he turned within. He tapped into the eternal truth that no matter what surrounds me, what defines me is within me. He aligned with the presence, the awareness that nothing and no one outside has power unless I grant it. That is the level of spiritual authority we're being called to. That's the shift from human limitation to divine expression. It's not about quoting Scripture, it's about becoming the Scripture, living it, feeling it, embodying it. Now pause and ask yourself, what are you fearing right now? What is stealing your peace? Is it a future you're imagining with dread? Is it a memory you're reliving with pain? Is it a report, a number, a person? Know this. None of that exists in power unless you give it permission. You can change the course of your day, your week, your life simply by stepping back into the secret place, the awareness of being and declaring, "Whom shall I fear?" And don't just say it. Feel it, breathe it, let it saturate your soul, let it reshape your inner conversations, let it replace your doubts with certainty. Because when you dwell in that inner sanctuary, that sacred awareness that the Lord is your light, then fear has no home, no grip, no reality in you. Your imagination is that inner temple. Every assumption you make is a prayer. Every feeling you hold is a decree. When you imagine being whole, loved, free, safe, and you persist in that imagination, then you are dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. And from that place no evil shall befall you, and not because the world changed, but because you did. When your inner world shifts, the outer must conform. That's not opinion, it's law. The same law that wrote the stars into being is the law that lives within you. When David declared his fearlessness, he wasn't being naive, he was being prophetic. He knew that no darkness could enter where light had already been claimed. So tomorrow morning, or even right now, don't just read Psalm 27, become it. When you wake, before you touch your phone or speak to another soul, step into the secret place, close your eyes and remember who you are. Speak it aloud if you must. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And then, believe it, let your day rise from that place. Let your actions be guided not by reaction to the world, but by creation from within. Let your peace come not from conditions, but from identity. Because once you remember that you are the secret place, everything changes. The noise of the world loses its power, the opinions of others fade into silence, and the path before you clears, not because it was easy, but because you became unshakable. That is the transformation Psalm 27 offers. That is the invitation it holds out every single day. To stop living from the outside in, and to begin living from the inside out. To know, not just with your mind, but with your spirit, that the secret place is not far away. It is you, and in that knowing you walk forward not in fear, but in full authority as the divine being you were always meant to be. Imagination is your fortress when David wrote, "Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear." He wasn't speaking from a place of delusion, he was speaking from divine insight. He understood something most of the world still overlooks, that the true battlefield is not fought with swords and soldiers, but with thoughts, assumptions, and imagination. The army that encamps around you, that tries to intimidate and overwhelm, is not always made of people. Sometimes it's made of worry, debt, betrayal, sickness, or pressure. But what David knew, and what you must now come to realize, is that no matter how loud the external noise, the victory is always won inside, because your imagination, your controlled, directed, faithful imagination, is your true fortress. It is where your safety is secured, where your reality is shaped, and where fear is stripped of its power. The world teaches you to brace for impact, to protect yourself by reacting, defending, and preparing for the worst. But the divine law whispers a different truth. You are not here to react to the world. You are here to create it, and you create it first in the realm of imagination. The great secret of spiritual power lies in this. Nothing enters your life unless it first passed through the door of your mind. Every condition, every encounter, every opportunity or obstacle, it is all shaped by what you continually imagine to be true. Most people live as prisoners of their senses. If they don't see it, they don't believe it. If they don't hear it, they don't trust it. But the mystic, the awakened one, knows that the senses lie, and imagination tells the truth. Your outer world is just a delayed reflection of your inner world. You're not being punished or rewarded by life, you are being mirrored, and the mirror always returns what you consistently show it. So if you want to change the reflection, don't break the mirror, change what you're projecting. Guard your imagination like a sacred temple, because it is. It is where your future is conceived and carried. It is where heaven or hell is formed, and you choose which one you walk in, based not on luck, but on your inner state. David didn't deny the army around him. He didn't pretend the threat didn't exist. But what he did, and what you must learn to do, is place more weight on what he believed than on what he saw. His heart did not fear, not because there was no danger, but because he lived from a deeper law, that what I imagine in truth becomes more powerful than what I perceive in fear. That is the real courage, not to fight harder, but to imagine greater. Imagination is not fantasy, it's not idle daydreaming, it's the first stage of creation. It's the spiritual blueprint from which all things emerge. When you imagine with feeling, when you live in the state of the wish fulfilled, you are building the future brick by brick, even if you see no evidence yet. You are securing your victory in the unseen, and the seen must follow. The fortress David spoke of is not made of stone. It's made of unwavering inner vision. It's built on the assumption that what I claim in consciousness, I will eventually see in form. You don't need to beg life to be better. You don't need to fight every enemy that rises up. You need to hold firm to the image of who you really are and what you already have, and refuse to move from that place, even when the world screams otherwise. When your imagination becomes your dwelling place, when you walk through the day with the knowing that it is done, then fear loses its grip. Circumstances may test you, doubts may rise like waves, but they cannot break through a soul anchored in vision. The enemy isn't the problem, your forgetfulness is. The moment you forget your power, you become vulnerable, but the moment you remember, you become untouchable. Now ask yourself, what fortress are you living in today? Is it made of worry and reaction, or is it built from faith and vision? Are you imagining the worst and calling it being realistic? Or are you imagining the best and calling it being faithful? Imagination works, whether you use it to build or destroy. Most people are masters at imagining disaster. They replay what they don't want, fear what hasn't happened, rehearse arguments that may never occur, and expect trouble before they expect peace, and then they wonder why life keeps confirming their fears. But you must choose differently. You must make your imagination holy. Use it as a tool for transformation, not torment. Stop forecasting failure. Begin visualizing fulfillment. See yourself whole. See yourself strong. See yourself loved, free, guided, protected not just once, but again and again, until that image becomes more real to you than the current facts. And here's the truth. The facts may scream loudly, but imagination whispers with certainty. Choose the whisper. The army outside may look intimidating, but the kingdom within is greater. The outer world moves slower than the inner world. So even when your outer world hasn't caught up yet, keep walking in the reality you've claimed inside. Let that imagined scene of victory be your refuge. Let it soothe you when fear knocks at the door. Let it speak louder than doubt. And when others ask how you remain calm in the storm, you'll know it's because your fortress isn't out there. It's inside you. The next time anxiety rises, don't fight it with force, override it with vision. Replace it with a feeling of already having the solution. Step into the scene of success. Don't wait to feel peace once the problem is gone. Feel peace now, and watch the problem melt. Don't wait to be loved to feel worthy, and love will find you. That is the fortress, that is your shield. That is how you conquer armies, not with your hands, but with your heart. Not by running harder, but by imagining better. Psalm 27 wasn't written to be recited like a spell, it was written to be lived. Every word is a spiritual principle encoded with power, but that power isn't unleashed until it becomes your inner reality. So dwell there, not just on Sundays, not just when things go wrong. Make it your daily home. Start your mornings not with panic or pressure, but with the practiced art of inner alignment. See the day going well. Feel that all is working for you. Imagine solutions appearing before problems even arise. Live from the state of answered prayer, and in doing so, you turn your imagination into a fortress that no enemy can enter and no storm can shake. Assume the feeling of peace. There is a sacred rhythm beneath all chaos, a stillness that remains untouched by storms, a calm that can't be moved by circumstance. And you, child of the divine, have access to that stillness at any moment, not by waiting for life to quiet down, but by choosing to assume the feeling of peace. When David said, "Though war rise against me, yet will I be confident," he wasn't waiting for the war to end before he felt peace. He stepped into it while the battle raged. That is the power of assumption. That is the divine art of choosing your inner state regardless of what the world screams. Because peace is not the absence of problems, peace is the presence of inner conviction. It is the unwavering knowing that all things are working together for your good, even when the pieces haven't fallen into place. And when you assume peace, when you walk in the consciousness of being already comforted, already guided, already whole, you become unshakable. The world may tremble, but you will not. The problem is, most people live their lives like thermometers, not thermostats. They react to the temperature around them. If the news is bad, they feel fear. If someone disrespects them, they feel anger. If the account balance dips, they feel panic. But you are called to something higher. You are not here to reflect the world. You are here to set the tone for it. You are the creator, not the reactor, and the most divine act of creation is to assume right now the state of peace, even when everything around you says you shouldn't. That is the test. That is the real spiritual battle, not what's going on outside, but whether you'll dare to feel good before the facts justify it. Will you dare to be confident in the face of delay? Will you dare to rest when others rush? Will you dare to smile when others scowl? This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is trusting in the deeper laws that govern the universe, laws that respond not to panic but to peace. Peace is not a reward. It is a frequency, and the moment you tune into it, you begin to pull experiences, people, and outcomes that match it. This is why so many stay stuck. They pray for peace but live in tension. They speak faith but walk in fear. And yet the law is clear. You attract what you are, not what you want. So if you want peace in your world, you must carry peace in your spirit, not by force but by assumption, by choosing to dwell in the feeling of already having what you seek. When you wake up in the morning, don't wait for something outside to make you feel safe. Create that safety within. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and assume the feeling of everything working for your good. Imagine your day flowing with ease. Imagine solutions before problems appear. Imagine divine timing orchestrating your every step. Let that become your inner reality, and the outer must reflect it. Do you know why most people can't find peace? Because they're looking for it in facts, not in faith. They think they need more answers, more money, more validation, more clarity before they can rest. But that's an illusion. Peace is not something you stumble upon. It's something you decide to live from. It is the quiet power that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. It is the whisper of the divine saying, "Be still and know that I am." And that knowing is not intellectual, it's spiritual. You feel it, you rest in it, and once you're there, nothing outside you can take it away. Even if the war rises, you do not waver, because your peace is not anchored in appearance, it's rooted in your assumption. And what you assume, you eventually experience. That is law. It may not show up in the next hour or the next day, but the seed will produce after its kind. You assume peace, and peace will show up in the way people speak to you, the way doors open, the way your health aligns, the way time bends in your favor. Don't underestimate the power of a calm soul. The world teaches you to hustle, to scramble, to stress, but the higher law teaches you to rest and know, not rest in laziness, but rest in inner certainty. When you assume peace, your actions flow with wisdom, not desperation. You speak from power, not pressure. You move with purpose, not panic. That's the difference between living from fear and living from faith. So today, take inventory of your emotional state. Are you waiting for the phone call to go your way before you calm down? Are you waiting for the bank to clear the funds before you breathe easy? Are you waiting for someone to validate you before you feel whole? If so, you've given your power away. But you can take it back right now by assuming the feeling of peace before anything changes. Close your eyes right now and imagine what it would feel like if everything already worked out. Don't ask how, just feel as if. What would you feel in your chest? What would you think when you wake up? How would you walk, talk, respond, breathe? Step into that. Feel it deeply. Own it as your natural state and watch what happens. This is not wishful thinking. This is divine alignment. Because when you assume the feeling of peace, you signal to the universe that you already trust. And trust is the magnet for miracles. You're no longer trying to force outcomes. You're allowing the perfect outcome to unfold because you've already lived it in spirit. The mind may argue, the ego may resist, but stay rooted. Peace is your power, peace is your weapon, peace is your fortress, and unlike the world's version which depends on things going your way, this peace passes all understanding. It cannot be explained. It can only be felt, and once you feel it, you become it, and once you become it, your world must match it. Let Psalm 27 be your reminder every morning, though war rise against me, in this will I be confident. And what is this? It is the truth that peace is not a prize, it is your original nature. You are not here to fight every fire. You are here to radiate such peace that the fire loses its heat. You are not here to beg life for rest, you are here to embody it. Assume peace like you assume breath. Carry it like you carry your name, and soon what once felt impossible will become inevitable. The world will call it luck. You will know it as law, because you chose day after day to assume the feeling of peace. Faith is the bridge between the unseen and seen. Faith is not blind. It sees what the natural eye cannot. It touches what the hand cannot grasp. It knows what the mind cannot calculate. Faith is not hope, and it is not a wish. It is conviction, it is assumption. It is the divine faculty that draws what is invisible in to form the bridge that spans the gulf between the imagined and the experienced. When David declared in Psalm 27, I would have fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, he was not waiting for evidence to believe, he believed to see. And that, right there, is the secret of transformation. The world says, show me and I'll believe it. But the divine law says, believe it and you'll see it. What you accept as real in consciousness must eventually become real in form. That is law. That is order. That is faith in action. The reason most people never cross over into their breakthroughs is simple. They don't truly believe the unseen is more real than the seen. They say they have faith, but they treat their fears with more respect than their visions. They speak of possibility, yet worship probability. They rehearse facts and call it wisdom, yet dismiss imagination and call it fantasy. But the truth is, all that you now call reality was once imagined, once felt, once assumed by someone who dared to believe before seeing. Faith is the builder, the carrier, the creative substance of every fulfilled desire. It is the invisible bridge your soul must walk across while the world still calls you crazy. And unless you walk that bridge, unless you hold the vision before the facts, you will faint under the weight of delay. But if you walk it with conviction, nothing can stop you. Because the moment you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, you begin pulling the unseen into manifestation. Here's what most fail to understand. Your faith is always working, even when it's working against you. Faith is not something you turn on and off. You are always believing something. You're either believing in success or in struggle, in healing or in decline, in abundance or in lack, and whatever you consistently believe, you invite. Your world mirrors your faith, not your words, not your wishes, but your sustained inner assumption. So ask yourself, what bridge am I building right now? What vision am I rehearsing in the silence of my soul? Do I spend more time feeling what I don't want, or assuming what I desire is already mine? Because what you emotionally dwell in, you magnetize. Faith is not about getting God to move. It's about moving yourself into alignment with what's already done. All things are finished in the unseen. Creation is complete. What you desire already exists in the realm of spirit. Faith is the vehicle that delivers it into time and space. You don't need to earn your blessings. You need to assume them, to occupy them, to dwell in their reality until the outer world has no choice but to catch up. It is not your job to figure out the how. It is your job to maintain the state. Every day you spend questioning, doubting, analyzing, you delay the crossing. But every moment you hold the end with certainty, you collapse time, because time bends to those who believe. This is why David said, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and not wait in despair, not wait in fear, but wait in confidence, knowing that the unseen is more trustworthy than the seen, that what is prepared for you in the invisible must appear if you faint not, because faith is not passive, it is the most powerful force in the universe. It creates, it calls things that are not as though they were. It commands mountains to move. It sees the end from the beginning and walks as if it were already done. That is the level of spiritual maturity you are called to. Not a life of chasing signs, but a life of creating them from the inside out. And here's the beauty: faith doesn't require proof. It becomes the proof. When you truly believe, you no longer need signs, because the assumption of the end already satisfies your soul. You become the living evidence of what you've claimed. The feeling becomes the fact, and from that inner fact, outer facts must follow. This is why it's written, "According to your faith be it unto you," and not according to your effort, your struggle, or your merit, but according to your faith. This is the greatest gift and the greatest responsibility. You hold the keys. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on your alignment, and that alignment comes not through begging or bargaining, but through faithful assumption. To build this bridge from unseen to seen, you must live in the state of the wish fulfilled, not someday, not when the conditions line up. Now, you must dare to feel what it would be like if your desire were already realized. Not with strain, but with sincerity. What would it feel like to be free, loved, healed, chosen, provided for, anchored? Don't just think it, feel it, live from it. Let it become your dwelling place. And when the world presents evidence to the contrary, you remain unmoved, not because you're delusional, but because you're anchored. You know what the outer eye cannot see, that the unseen is eternal and the seen is temporary. You've already crossed the bridge in spirit, and now the world must follow. So walk boldly, hold fast. When the fear creeps in, answer it with vision. When the delay tests you, respond with conviction. Faith is not shaken by appearances. It overrides them. It creates new ones. You may be walking through a season where nothing seems to line up. That's not the time to shrink. That's the time to assume even more deeply that the goodness of the Lord is already prepared for you in the land of the living. Your job is not to create from effort, but to align through belief, to bridge the gap with feeling, to live as if, to become so familiar with your desire in the unseen that when it appears in the seen, it feels like a natural arrival, not a miracle, but a manifestation. Let the bridge be built today. Stop wavering. Stop measuring your faith by how things look. Start measuring it by how deeply you feel the end result as already yours. Don't live as a beggar of blessings. Live as a possessor of promises. Faith is your bridge. Faith is your power. Faith is your responsibility. The moment you live from the end, you walk across into the seen, and the world must bow to the one who walks in faith. Dwell in the house of certainty. There is a place beyond hope, beyond wishing, beyond even strong belief, a realm where all doubt dissolves and only knowing remains. This place is the house of certainty. And the moment you choose to dwell there, not visit, not peek, but dwell, your life begins to transform at the roots. This is what David meant when he said in Psalm 27, "One thing I have desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." This wasn't about escaping the world. It was about living in the consciousness of divine certainty, the kind that overrides external chaos with inner clarity. When you dwell in that house, you no longer chase signs, you become the sign. You no longer search for proof, you walk in proof. You don't question the how, you rest in the knowing that it is already done. To dwell in certainty is to operate from the end with the deep, unshakable conviction that what you've claimed in spirit must appear in form. And until that is your daily dwelling place, your results will remain unstable, but the moment you move in, everything shifts. Most people live as visitors in faith. They step in when it's convenient, when it feels good, or when things are going their way. But the moment delay arrives or storms break loose, they step right back into fear, worry, and reasoning. But certainty does not waver. Certainty is not impressed by appearances. Certainty is not interested in evidence. Certainty is built on assumption, a spiritual decision that what is unseen is more real than what is seen. and the soul that lives in certainty walks differently, speaks differently, breathes differently. They no longer wrestle with if or when, they live in now, not because the outer world has confirmed it, but because the inner world has already claimed it. When you dwell in certainty, you close the gap between desire and manifestation. You make it so real inside that it must express itself outside. Understand this: the house of certainty is not a location, it is a state of consciousness. You don't get there by effort, you get there by feeling. Feeling the wish fulfilled, feeling what it's like to already be, already have, already do the thing your heart desires. It requires you to die to the old man, the part of you that wants to question everything, that insists on seeing first, that demands control. Certainty asks you to surrender the ego and rest in the spirit. It is not passivity. It is the most powerful position you can hold, the position of knowing. When you dwell in the house of certainty, you don't chase blessings. You attract them, you align with them, you draw them out of the invisible like a magnet draws iron, because what you continually feel as real must manifest. That is law. Now ask yourself, where have you been living? In doubt, in logic, in delay? Have you been moving in and out of confidence based on circumstances? Because if you're still reacting to what you see, you're not dwelling, you're just visiting. And visiting doesn't change your life. Dwelling does. To dwell in certainty means you wake up every morning with a sense of settled peace, even if your senses tell you otherwise. It means you walk through your day as if you already are who you've asked to become, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. The job may not have called back yet, but you show up like the offer has already been accepted. The healing may not have shown up in the test results, but you walk like wholeness has already arrived. The relationship may still look broken, but you love as if it's already restored. That's what it means to dwell in certainty. You make your home in the end result, and the beginning has no power over you. And here's the miracle: when you dwell there long enough, the world conforms, the facts start to bend, people shift, circumstances reconfigure, and others call it coincidence or luck, but you'll know it was certainty. You'll know it was the vibration of settled belief that rearranged the visible to match the invisible. But this only happens when you stay, when you don't leave that inner house every time fear knocks or delay lingers. You don't get to dwell in certainty and doubt at the same time. You must choose, and your choice must become your state, not a temporary feeling, a permanent address. You pack your bags and move into the reality of already having it, already being it. And once you do, your old life will start to fall away, not because you're forcing change, but because you've outgrown the old conditions by stepping into the new consciousness. The moment you decide to dwell in certainty, life begins to serve you differently. You start seeing signs you never noticed. You receive confirmations that feel divinely timed. You no longer fight for outcomes, they flow to you. Why? Because your inner atmosphere has changed. You've become an open channel for the fulfillment of your desires, not through effort, but through agreement. You've stopped arguing with delay. You've stopped questioning every obstacle. You've stopped letting time weaken your belief. Instead, you've chosen to live from the end, to occupy the finished state. And that's the secret. You must feel from the end, not just think of it. You must live in the house of certainty until your whole being reflects it. Until your posture, your tone, your energy all speak, it is done. To dwell in certainty is to understand that the power is not out there, it's in you. You're not waiting for God to move. God already moved. The blueprint of your desire is already complete in the unseen. You are now the builder, and your materials are not bricks or labor. They are assumptions, feelings, and states of being. The more deeply you assume the end, the more real it becomes. And soon, what began in the secret place will be shouted from the rooftops, not because you tried harder, but because you stayed longer in the place of knowing. So today, let Psalm 27 anchor your spirit. One thing have I desired, that I may dwell. Make that your commitment to dwell in the house of certainty, to stay planted in the feeling of already being fulfilled, already answered, already whole. Don't visit when it's easy, don't leave when it gets hard. Dwell, abide, remain, and soon everything you once prayed for will become the very ground you stand on, not by striving but by assuming the state, living in the end and never moving out.